Saul had to submit. You want to fulfill your calling? Serve where God has, because all ministry is based on serving. You are a servant of God. Messiah, the awesome, who is God himself, is called the servant of God. They ministered to the Lord. See, if you can't submit to people in the Lord that you see with your eyes, you're not going to submit to the Spirit that you don't. They ministered to the Lord. Now notice what it says. They were ministering to the Lord. They were ministering to the Lord at that time when this happened. The Greek word is liturgeo, which means we get the word liturgy. Now it's not about, we think liturgy, we think ritual and this religious thing. It actually means, it can mean worship or serving or helping the poor. The Greek word used here is linked to the priests actually. It's used, the same word is used in speaking of the priests as well. It's saying whatever you do, the understanding is whatever you do for God is priestly, is to be, everything you do is to be holy. Whatever you do it unto the Lord as a priest of God. You are called to minister as a priest of the new covenant. Now, just as holy as the priest of the old covenant. It's just as sacred, it's just as honored, it's just as hallowed as everything that happened in that temple. So you got to treat yourself, treat your life as that, carry yourself as a priest of God. It says they were ministering to God. It's an amazing concept. How can you minister to God? But they're in God's presence, and they're fasting. Some things, we don't have to understand fasting. The point is, some things only happen when you're fasting. They're with prayer and fasting. Some things only happen. When I had to choose what to do, like where to go when I was graduating one part of college and praying about what to do in my life, I just got saved in the middle of college. I prayed and God led. I prayed, I fasted and prayed, and God gave me the answer. But it's happened again and again. There was one time I didn't know, should I accept this mission? I'm praying, but I also fasted. At the end of the fast, Lord, I need an answer. He gave me the answer. I'm saying it has to be for every time, but that is a powerful thing. And the Holy Spirit said in verse 2, well, so they're ministering, they're fasting, and the Spirit of God says, separate to me these two. God can speak that way, and he may, I don't know, in your life, he may have spoken to you in a supernatural way concerning your calling. He has with me. It doesn't have to. Don't think he didn't do with mine. That means that, no, God speaks through a million ways. But he can speak through the prophetic gift as well, but make sure it's God. Someone can come up to you and say this is God's will. It may not be God's will at all. There are two extremes here. One is accepting everything that people say, and the other is accepting nothing. It says test and make sure this is of the Lord. Test. When we were looking for our first building, a person said, oh, I got this from the Lord. They described the building, this, had nothing to do with reality at all. And yet God led us in other ways there. It doesn't matter also if somebody speaks rightly 100 times and is from the Lord, the 101st time may not be the Lord. So test the spirits. When I was in Israel the first time, when I went there, not on a tour, but I went with a friend the first time, and we ended up going on Mount Tabor, which is traditional Mount of Transfiguration. And we get to the top, and we see people are worshiping and guitar and the wind and all that. And they said, are you Jewish? We said, yeah, we're Jewish. He said, oh, my Jewish people. And they were prophesying over us and prophesying, and you are from the tribe of Zebulun. I said, no, I happen to know I'm from the tribe of Levi. I said, okay, that's it. Good people, but it doesn't mean anything to the Lord. The Lord's word is this, and God may speak, but test it. But the fact that there are false prophecies doesn't nullify the true either. Before I went into ministry, I'm seeking, okay, I got saved, I'm in college, what do I do? I went to a small church. I just visited a small church one weekend, and there was a woman there, and she had this gift, and she called me out of the people. She didn't know me, and she spoke words of what my ministry would be that has come true. Way back then, before anything. My wife Renata was in Brazil, grew up in Brazil. Her father was a pastor, and believers would 4 different times. A believer came up there and prayed over her. Different believers, didn't know the other believer. Every one of them said the same thing. Said there's a man across the world. He's Jewish. He ministers around the world. He's from the tribe of Levi. Prepare yourself. You're going to be his wife. Again and again and again. 4 times. I remember when we were getting ready to go to the first kind of a gigantic mission, which was India. And I kept getting the words arise and shine, arise and shine, arise and shine. And I'm down at a rabbi's conference, a Messianic leaders conference in Florida, and a woman gets up and she says, I just have to read this word. She wrote it down. She said, I don't know who it's about. She starts praying, and it's all about get ready for traveling. I'm sending you across the world, and arise and shine for and be strong. This whole thing, but it was everything we prayed about, but she had no idea. God does honor that. But test it at the same time. Is it biblical? Is it true? Does it match up with what God's told you in your spirit? Is it encouraging the flesh, or is it encouraging the spirit? Beware of hearing what you want to hear, because you'll hear it. Is it encouraging self-centeredness, pride, or surrender to God? Is it condemning others? Is it leading you to become better or worse? Is it encouraging fear, or is it encouraging confidence in God? And has God already put in your heart? Because remember, what does it say in the New Covenant? It says, they will each know me. Each of them, from the least of them, they will all know me. So in other words, if you're born again, you have a direct line to heaven. You don't have to go to somebody to tell you God's speaking to you. God can use someone to confirm something. He can use a message to confirm something. He can use all people, but he will also speak to you directly, so make sure you are hearing. Is it confirmed with shalom, the peace of God? Does this have peace of God? Doesn't mean you have to like it. Doesn't mean it may not be challenging to your flesh, but it's the peace of God in it. Is it about obeying? Concern yourself with obeying the will of God, and God will take care of revealing the will of God that's not here.